Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Abdullah Kamil, and in this video we're gonna design a smart invoice to work with our smart small business system. So to do that, you need first to download an invoice template from Microsoft, or you can create your own invoice. Okay, so I downloaded this invoice, which is a simple invoice, and it works for the purposes that I designed the system for. So the first thing I need to do is I need to move a copy of this template to my sheet. So I go to move or copy, then click on create a copy and select my file and select move to the end of the workbook, and I hit OK. So as you can see, the invoice sheet has now been copied to my file and placed at the end of my sheet, of my workbook. Cool. So the first thing now we're gonna do is we're gonna create a drop-down list here for all of our invoices or all of our orders, right? Because at the end of the day, we're gonna make this invoice work smartly with our system. You can pick up any order to create an invoice, right? Within the same template, basically. Okay, so to create a drop-down list for the invoice ID or the order ID, so we go to data validation and then we select list, and at the source there we're gonna write indirect, and then between quotation mark we write the table name, and then between square brackets the column name where our order ID is. So we know that the table is called orders and the column is called order ID. So this is going to bring in all of our order numbers that we have in our order table. So you can see that the list has been created, and we use the indirect function because the indirect function will allow any new values that you add for your orders table to be picked up in the list here without the need to go in and change the the range of the drop-down list. All of these data is regarding your customer that you are sending this invoice to, but the top bar here that you see, this is for your company or your business. But we need to make these populate automatically whenever you choose the right invoice. So whenever you choose an invoice, all the information should appear here automatically. So the first thing is your customer, so who you're gonna bill this to. So we're gonna take this from the orders table, and we're gonna do a VLOOKUP. And in the VLOOKUP, as you know, we need to get the column ID number. So the customer name is the fifth column in the order ID, because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is 5. So the customer name is the fifth column. So we need to remember that when we make our VLOOKUP here. So we're gonna say, before we do that also, something I forgot is the order ID. We should name it, and this is best practice so that your formulas will be making sense, whenever you write a formula involving the order ID. So click on it and go here to the name box and write a meaningful name for your order number here. We're going to choose order number in O. So we named this cell order number, and so this cell, whenever referenced, will not be called G4. Instead, it's going to be referenced as order number, and you're going to see that just now. So we're going to use VLOOKUP, and the first thing it's going to ask us for is the lookup value, and the lookup value is our order ID, which, as you can see here now, it's no longer called G4. It is called order number. And now it's gonna, once you give the comma, it's gonna ask you for the table array. So the table array, we're gonna look this up in the orders table. So that's, now we write order and we get the orders table called orders. And the column index number is, as you remember, 5, which is the column number for the customer name. And the search criteria or the matching criteria, let's say it is an exact match. We would like to get the order ID matching the search. So we're gonna select exact match, and as you can see here, we see the customer name has been populated. Now to do the same thing now for let's do it for the date, because it is also a simple VLOOKUP. So the same thing, you select the order number and you look that up in the I'm gonna go here at the top. So we're gonna look that up in the orders table, and the invoice date or the order date is the second column, and the matching is gonna be the exact match. So as you can see here, the date will appear automatically based on your selection in the invoice number. Now the address is a bit tricky because you will need to do nested VLOOKUPs. So a VLOOKUP within a VLOOKUP. Why? Because the only information that we can use that is not duplicated, or possibly at some point will be duplicated, is the invoice number here, or the order ID, right? So we're gonna move from here and we're gonna look up, we're gonna go and find the order ID, and we're gonna find the order ID. And once we find it, we need to get, the customer ID. And once we get the customer ID, we need to go to the customer table and search for the customer ID. And once we find it, we're gonna go and get the address. So that's why we need two VLOOKUPs. Okay, so the first thing, we need to get the customer ID number. So the customer ID number in the orders table is the fourth column. So we're gonna write a VLOOKUP for that, and it's good practice always, to do it, to do the complex formulas, in chunks. So first you do the central part, and then you move out as you go along. So we're gonna look up the customer ID number from the orders table using the order ID. So we're taking the order number, we go into the orders table, and from there the customer ID number is the column number 4, and again exact match for the matching. And as you can see here, the customer ID number is 669. So we're gonna use this now as a lookup value for the outer VLOOKUP. So we're gonna go in again, we're gonna write another VLOOKUP, which is the outer ring, and the lookup value is gonna be the nested VLOOKUP here, and we're gonna look that up where you set it, customer table. So customers table, and then we're gonna look where now this is something we don't know, we need to check. The address is the third column. Okay, so we're gonna say the third column, and then we're gonna get an exact match again, and we hit enter, and as you can see, you get the street address now using the nested VLOOKUP. Same goes for the phone and email, because we're getting these from the customer table. So we're gonna figure out first, what's the column number for the phone and the email, and the column number, as we said, within the table. Okay, not counting from A. We're counting within the table. Okay, so the phone and email, this is first column, second column, third column, fourth column, and fifth. So phone and email are 4 and 5 respectively. So we go back to the invoice here, and we're gonna use the same nested VLOOKUP. And the only thing we're gonna do, we're gonna just change the column index number for the outer VLOOKUP. So the template that I downloaded, they merged the cells and they prepared this, phone text within the quotation mark to, identify it as text. We don't want to change that. We're just going to add the formula to it. But in order to combine text with a formula, you need to use the ampersand. So we put an ampersand here and we hit paste. And we need to change, as we said, for the outer VLOOKUP, we change the column index. And now we know that for the phone number, it's 4, and we hit enter. And as you can see, we get the phone number. Same goes for the email. We use the ampersand, and then we hit paste. And here, then we write 5, so we get the email address. Okay. So this is all the information we need. We can check now by checking the order number, and as you can see, everything gets changed automatically. Okay. Now, I don't know what the invoice for is used. If you guys know, you can tell me. I don't know. Maybe just I don't know. I don't have any feeling for it. Anyway, so that was the easy part of the invoice. We're going to look now at how to get the item details from the order details populated here in this table based on the order ID that we check that we select here. So the idea behind getting the order details populating here in this table correctly revolves around, checking first, if the order ID here matches the order ID selected in this cell. Okay, so once we get that, okay, once we find out which rows here belong to the order ID that it is selected in the invoice sheet, then we get the row number with respect to this table. So this is row number 1, this is row number 2, this is row number 3, and so on and so forth. So once we found out that we have an order ID match, we get the we get the row number for that row, and we get it for relative to the table by figuring out or calculating the row number for the row that we are interested in, and we subtract the row number of the headers of this table. So for example, this row is number 1 in this table. This is the first row in this table, and we figure that out by taking 5 minus 4. This is why this one is the first row here. Okay, so this is how it goes. This is kind of the main description of how we're going to do this. And now once we figured that out, we got the, let's say, the x coordinates for the data that we would like to get. So we know that okay, which row number is it in the table that we are interested in. And the second thing, we're going to find out which column we need to get the data from. So the intersection between the row and the column will get us our data that we are interested in, and we're gonna do that for each row in the invoice. Okay, so to do that, we're gonna use a combination of the function index and the function small and a function called row, which gets you the row number. The small function will get you the smallest number in an array or a column or something like that. Or the second smallest number, or the third smallest number, and so on and so forth. So let's do it in chunks, as we said before. Okay, and this is challenging because sometimes you will get the main challenge is how to isolate those rows that you need, and discard the rest. Okay, anyway, so to do that, let's check how the small function works. So we're gonna say, okay, so we're gonna check the small function. Okay, so the small function is gonna ask you for an array and a kth rank. So basically, you need some sort of a column, or you need a column in a table, or just an array. Okay, so the array we're gonna give to the small function is basically a check, of whether the order ID column in the order details matches the order ID that we have selected here. So we're gonna check first if order details, and so this is the table number, and we need to check the order ID column. So we're going to check the order ID column in order details table if it's equal to our order number that we are selecting here. If that is the case, then what we want to do, we would like to get the row number for that row in respect to the table, or relative to the table, basically. So we're going to take the order details table, okay, as a entry for our row function, and we're going to subtract, as we said, the row number of our order details headers. Okay, so the header row, we're gonna get the row number for that header row, and we subtract it from the row that we are interested in. Now, bear in mind that when you compared a column to a single value, you initiated what is known as an array formula. Okay, so this calculation is becoming an array formula, and what is after it, that's why we took the row for the whole table. So this table, the order details, is going to be taken row by row on this function. Okay, for the order details equal order number, and also for the row order details here. Okay, so so if we get a match, then we need to get the row number, which is relative to this the order details table, and that's why we're doing this calculation here. Okay, and so this is the array that we're gonna give the small function, and then now we need to give the small function, you know, what it is asking us for, which is the k factor here, which is basically the rank. So if you give it 1, it's going to be the smallest number. Give it 2, it's going to be the second smallest number. And because we would like to get all the items in the orders that we have placed, we would like this number to change for each row in our invoice. If we put 1 here, because this is a table, it's going to stay 1, and it's going to be applied to the whole table. But we're going to trick it, you know, we're going to give it a function that give us a series of numbers from 1, 2, 3, 4 until, you know, end of the table. So we're going to use a function, the same function which is called row. It's the only thing this time is going to say, get me the row for the first row. And we're going to apply that to the first row here in the invoice. So once you give that, so the row number for the row, which is, as you can see here, highlighted in red, is basically 1. Okay, so once you hit enter here, what do you get? You get 3 for the first row, and then errors for the other ones. So what is this telling us is that the order 1003 has only 1 product sold, and it resides in the third table, in the third row in the order details table. So if we go here, we check 1003, it is in the third row, and it is, you know, and it is only 1 product in this sold in this order. Okay, so if you go to the second, where you have the error here, and check the formula, you see what I just told you about the row. So it is, you know, moving incrementally. Okay, so this is why we're given, you know, the we're given the small function, you know, the rank that is needed gradually. Like we want to get the first rank, second rank, and so on and so forth. If you change now the to the other order, which is 1004. You can see we have 2 items, and one of them is at the 4th row and the other one is in the 5th. And as you can see here, it's in the 4th and it's in the 5th. But this is not what we want in this column, right? I mean, what we want is the item. So how we're gonna do that? Okay, so there is a function called index. So what does the index function need, and what does it give us? Okay, so the index function is gonna give you the contents of a cell once it knows the coordinates for that cell. Okay, so for example, to get let's say we're looking for the product name for the order 1003. So we're looking for this. So you need to give the index function the row number and the column number respect to the order details table. So the the row number for the order here, it's the 3rd row, and the column is the 4th column. So if you give 3 and 4, the index function is going to give you this value here. So this is what we're going to do basically to get all the things that we need. Okay, you can use the match function if these descriptions here match your headers here. But since we don't have that, we're just going to use numbers basically. Okay, so let's do the item number. So the item number, we know the row coordinates, right? I mean, we know what row the data we need is at. Okay, here it is at the 4th row, and here it is at the 5th row. What we are missing is the column coordinates. Which column is it? So we can give it to the index function to get everything calculated for us. So we write, okay, let's go back. The item number is our product name, which is the 4th column. So the invoice here, we go back and we say index, and the array is the whole order details table. So we're gonna say order details. This is the array we're gonna apply the index function on, and then it's gonna ask for the row number. We've already calculated the row number using the small function. Now we come at the end here and say, okay, what else do you need? So it says you can give me the column number if your array is a table or has more than one column. And yes, it does. So the column number here, because we checked just now and I forgot, it's the 4th number, the 4th column here. So we're gonna give the function here a column number 4 in respect to the order details table. And once we do that, we hit enter. And as you can see here, yeah, but this is the item number, sorry. We need to get the product ID first. So the product ID is 3. And as you can see here, we got the product ID correct. And now the same thing is going to apply to description, quantity, unit price, and discount. Same criteria. So we can copy this function actually. But before we do that, we need to fix this error. So we're going to say here, if error, what do? You just replace with a blank value. And we got rid of the error. Now we can copy the whole function. Sorry, I'm gonna copy the first one. Yeah. Okay. So description is the which is the product name here, which is the 4th column. Okay. So just for us to check. Okay. Sorry, I forgot to copy the equal sign. So we changed this one only, which is the column coordinates. We're gonna hit it here, and as you can see, everything looks fine. I know that the quantity and price are, column number 8 and column number 7 respectively, and discount is column number 11. So I'm just gonna do that quickly, so we save some time. Okay, unit price, same thing. Just the only thing different is that the column coordinates is 7. Oh, sorry, 7. Cool, and that's the unit price. And again, for the discount, it is column 11. And as you can see here, price gets updated automatically there. And we can now check that the invoice subtotal before taxes is 9,612. If we go to the orders and we check, we find it is correct, it is 9,612. Now we're missing the tax rate, and so the tax rate, to get that we just need to check what column is the tax rate. So it is the 6th column in the orders table. So we do a simple VLOOKUP on the tax rate cell here, and we say okay, the order ID is the one we selected, or you can write it. It will appear in the suggestions, and we're gonna look that up in the orders table, because this is where we see our tax percent rate applied, and the column index number is 6, and then the match, we need to get an exact match on that. And as you can see here, we picked up 9.03%, which is correct for the order 1003. That is correct. And okay, so the total after tax is 10,480.95, and if you double check that, you can see it is matching our orders table. So if you go back now and change to select, 1003, you can see that the invoice will change automatically based on your selection for the order ID. Now imagine you change or you add another item to 1003. So we go back to the order details, and we create another row, and this time we select 1003, and the product ID, we can select any product here, and we can sell how much we have of this quantity. We have 5 on hand, we're gonna sell 2, and we're gonna apply 3% discount, and yeah, that's fair enough. And as you can see here, although the 2 items sold in 1003 are separated by 2 rows, so they are not, after each other, you will see in the invoice they are actually combined together, one after the other, as they appear in the table. So so this is really powerful here. So yeah, it doesn't matter how the items are sorted, they will appear here exactly where you want them. So with this, our design of the invoice has finished. I hope you guys like it. So I will update the blank template with the invoice, and if you guys have any questions on how to use it, please write me a comment or an email. In our next video, we will be talking about how to do some analytics on the system, kind of how to get some insights that can help you measure the health of your system. So until then, thank you so much, guys. Hope to see you soon. Thank you.